Раз, два. Меня слышно? Отлично.
Okay, I'm really glad to greet all of you. This is the first time I make presentation at such a big conference. I will tell you about the online courses. My name is Yuliya. I'm really glad to meet all of you. I work in Stepik.org. I'm a tester, so Stepik is the online courses, online training platform. I'm doing both manual and automatic testing, mobile as well. But so please raise your hands who have ever heard about Stepik. That's fine. Who have received our training course? That's fine. So the difference of Stepik from other online platforms, as many people know, that the Stepik courses are mostly free. 98% of the content is free for use. It's open source, and we issue certificates, etc. As the courses are open, the amount of people to register to our course is unpredictable. It can be 10 people or can be several dozens of thousands, and sometimes in general it's 100,000 people registered already. And it's quite logical to make a training course in the area you know well, where you're working in. So that's why me and my colleague decided to make a course on testing. And my presentation is on how the online courses are developed, in general, how this process is structured, the techniques used in it, ways to test non-standard cases, well, how to test actually the code. You make test cases, but how to test the automatic test code, how to scale up this knowledge, not using manual labor of like people, trainers, how to do it all automatically. What are the training techniques which work in online, which are non-efficient? Well, I've been working in this area many years, and I really understand what can and what cannot be used within this format. This is the strategy that can be used in testers training. This is kind of quite specific community of people. I will tell you about the training, how it can be used in online. But why do we need courses in general? I mean, in order to teach, to share knowledge. That's all right, but why do we need free courses when we don't get money for that? Okay, this is all quite valid, but normally we also develop ourselves when we create courses. So we have to think of the way to explain to others in the way that they understand you, and this is a good command of the instrument if you can do it. It's quite difficult to explain something to a layman in a simple way. And also free courses have another advantage because there are not so many free courses on testing, and in 5 years juniors will come to you, and it's quite sad because they don't know anything. And in order to provide for payback in long-term perspective, we have to provide also some free materials to them. Also, it is possible to develop a personal brand, because I think you all know that there are quite good online trainers who know that they are cool, and so they can promote themselves and realize your instinct of a mentor. So we have quite a small team. We have 2 testers for 2 projects. We don't have juniors to teach, and we want to develop as team leads. That's the way to implement this idea into practice. And so we also now, from these online courses, from the trainees, we select people, like we make them juniors, and they also make some automatic test components for us. So this is the way to look for personnel. And also it can be used in corporate training, especially if you have a big company. In this case, you can pass through this conveyor green guys, and at the end you get people who can do something, who know how to work. How to make a course to be a tort or a cake. So what are the components of any online course? First of all, this is the theory. There are some exceptions like simulators, but normally it's theory is there. Also, there should be some simple tasks like tests or input and answer. In this case, we have a task to write a code and also programming courses. But in general, the tasks should be such as to reflect the practice of what you are teaching people. This is non-obligatory, but it's important. It's integration knowledge into the project. If a person fulfills some diverse integrated tasks, it's good to make a project where it can be all reflected in one profile, so this profile can be attached to his CV. After you have compiled all that, after you baked your cake of online courses, after that you also have to support, to maintain it, to help people joining it, taking it, answer the questions. So I will elaborate a little on each of these steps. So first is the theory. I think that there is a special feature of testers. I mean that they have versatile backgrounds. When a new tester joins your company, you never know whether he can test or he cannot test. Has he ever heard about guide? Has deployed feature crunch? If he can program or not. And sometimes you have to explain very basic things to these people and to go out of the box of your experience, otherwise you stay as a cat in the box. So it's the way to summarize your experience. Sometimes something is really obvious to you if you have been programmer since the 5th grade, but some people they have just very basic skills and knowledge, and you have to really explain simple things to them. I once spent so much time to explain what is too hardcore to them, this term. So, as testing is quite a big scope of knowledge, we have to focus on something. You have to choose some specific instrument you want to demonstrate to trainees, and also to learn how to use a web browser. You have to know HTML, IP, guide, and it's quite a big scope of knowledge that these people have to master. So you cannot encompass all that. Otherwise, you'll never finish developing this course. Nobody will be eager to take it. So what can we do? We can provide so-called roadmap of the links so you can guide people. So if you want to know more about that, go there. You can select materials from free sources where it's described in quite a good way. Also, you have to think about the compatibility problems, because if you have open course, people will take it from different gadgets, stacks, from virtual machines. You have to think about that in advance. The second step, the second component of our online course are the simple tasks. So when we are asked what is the name of this course and assign points to us, we say, oh, we are self-educating. But some people think that this is obvious, but it's difficult to learn, especially self-learning is the most difficult process. Raise your hand, those who started online courses and never finished it. This is normal. That's good that some of you did, because when we come home, we want to relax rather than learning something. So simple tasks, they give you the sense of success. So people pass the course because, this is the way to educate people. And also it's the way to check the knowledge. For example, in our course, we first asked people, please list the 3 main principles of OP. The more you are at, the better, because it helps people to pass the test. And actually, very important knowledge about the online courses, which some people miss, is that some the learning happens not at the moment when we watch video or read a book or an article, but at the moment when we recall the material that we've learned. And the more times, the more opportunities to recall the materials acquired earlier will be there in your course, the better will be the final result. So here it's written that the task is good. I hope that I read everything, mastered everything, but at the end I found out that I learned nothing. I think most of you had this cognitive distortion when you take online course or training, you read everything and you think, oh, it's obvious, that's clear, I will skip it. Then you start making exercises and you understand that you know nothing. So this is quite common. So the more tasks are there to make people concentrate on practical things, the better. So, and also developing a code. So this is the practical task, to develop a code, and here the same rule applies. The more you add, the better, because these tasks help us to learn something, to write the code better. And I think in this case we have to take a step-by-step approach, because most people who never had experience of programming, they think that they have an irrational fear that it's too complex, I will never be able to do that. And when you say, like, make this line or string, then it works, then you give him a template, he starts using it, it works, then you give terms of reference, and it works. So it's the way to avoid irrational fears. Also, you can make the tasks funny, because some people, when they develop courses, they make it too academic, as if they are professors in a university, so they think that education should be boring and serious, but I don't think so. I think even in the university curriculum we can use some interesting like funny things, like funny buttons, memories with cats. And the main technical problem that we encounter is how to check automatically in a massive mass and online course the code with automatic tests, because people use some code, but how to check if the code complies with the requirements? So some people try to do it manually, check it all manually within a review, but if you have in unlimited number of trainees, it's not possible. If we do it all manually, we rather die than rather than do something. So that's why we have a type of tasks where we can insert our code and it's executed automatically at the website. And I just can say you that the code with auto tests, as it's raises the browser, so the browser is running, we cannot get the libraries, and we lose magic, because when he opens auto tests he has to go to libraries. That's not efficient, it doesn't work. Another type of task is the task with the peer review, when colleagues check your results. It's good for the tasks when it's not possible to check it automatically. It's an important component, but yeah, it was very difficult to actualize some tests, so we tried to reduce the amount of tasks for automatic review to the minimum. And that's how we make trainees to execute code at their machines. So they try to fulfill our tasks with the script, and after the script is launched, it works, and then we provide on this page some check code. They check it, upload it to the Stepik, and we know that this person has passed the course. Also, how to distinguish manual clicking on the page from the automatic ones, because the website doesn't know whether it's a script without a test or is it a real user. For example, Selenium can fulfill all the actions, perform all the actions in the same way as a real person. That's why we ask the user to send the specific answer to the Stepik. So we decided to consider how to distinguish, how to identify this automatic clicking. So Actually, the automatic script works better than people because they do it faster. A robot can do something very quickly, much quicker than a person. And the first task that we developed when we thought about develop this course, we decided to make a big form for 100 fields. All fields are obligatory, and we will limit it with 3 seconds, the input. Probably it can be done manually, but it's very, very difficult. To write a small cycle with 3 lines is much easier. And this is what people trying to solve this task see. Also, robot is calculating better than most people, especially when there are just simple arithmetics to be calculated. And so we generate at each page random from 1 to 1000, limit time with some reasonable amount of seconds, 5 to 10, depending on the complexity of the task, for the script to perform. For example, in this page, person has to put a flag and to confirm that he is a robot and to switch the flag to people rule or robots rule. So
That's how we made the captcha for robots. So if you use the internet, and probably you do, you have probably seen some capture, Google Capture, where it asks you to choose the correct color and so on. So basically it is done so that we know that it's a person, not a robot. And how to make the answer that people would not copy paste from one task to another and could not share with each other. So this token should be more or less unique, basically. How did we solve this problem? We made an additional page for each Stepik project, for each task. And at each additional page, we use JavaScript to check that everything is correct. And as soon as the person has accomplished all these things in a script, then we provide him with check code. So it's not just a link or code phrase or whatever else. It's basically a function from the point where a person is making it to the task. So basically we take those two things, so the hash function, and in the end we get a number. So it looks like that to the person. We say, okay, you have to copy this number and paste it on Stepik. And how can this code be checked on Stepik? So can we check that this task has been solved in the correct time by this person and so on? So on the Stepik, we can introduce our own code for the checking code. In this case, it checks the correct answer and the answer that the person has inserted. We have made a symmetrical operation. We have the current time. We take away 5 minutes, multiply by the number of tasks, and find the multiplication function. So do you understand what I'm talking about? So the answer can be checked because we're using the monotonous growing function, and as it is growing, we can see that if everything is fine, then the task has been solved correctly. So you never know when monotonous growing function can help you, but sometimes it can actually be of some help. But we need to spend some time to find the right function. So if a person didn't make it on time and did not make it in 5 minutes, we can give you some feedback that the code is out of time. So what is the thing about this task? So you can use this task many times. We have made such a lively script file once, and that was used with all the anti-captcha and the code generator, and it can be used anywhere and for free. And besides, it ages in 5 minutes. It should be updated. And sometimes people are trying to spoil their solutions in some comments, but there is no sense in it because it is not valid in 5 minutes anymore. And besides, people have some freedom. For example, 2 modules of our course can be used in Java, for example, or in any other language, and people have a lot of freedom on the locators that he or she chooses, or architecture of description and so on. So it is important that he complies with the requirements that we have set for him. And besides, people learn to work locally on their computer because sometimes people can go through programming courses on a website and then they don't even know how to install it on their computer. So it is cool when a person can do it on his own computer. And besides, the most important thing that we have achieved is that this approach is scalable. So we can ask a lot of people to participate in such tasks, and we do not have to check it manually. So everything goes well here. But unfortunately, but we haven't had such cases yet. And another thing that we dealt with is we created test runners. Who knows what a test runner is? Okay, so a test runner is something that launches some of your tests, the set of our tests, with some parameters and functions, and how can we check them? That a person has created a test in a certain way. So I'll tell you the parameters way. It means that one test can be launched many times with the same parameters and should not be changed. So what did we do? We provided people with a test case with some links, a bunch of links, and on those links there is a bug, and you have to launch your test with parameters and the links and find the bugs. What are the links? So they're the same tasks on Stepik, but you have to answer in 3 seconds, otherwise the answer will be too old. So if everything is correct, then we give the feedback that everything is fine, and if there is a bug, then there will be the message that there is a bug as well. So you can see it on the screen right now. So that's the way it looks if it has been solved correctly, and on the other hand, if everything is correct but there is a bug there, then you will have this message over here. And people have gone through all the tests quite often, and so that they were able to make a sentence out of those pieces. So it is a really mini quest, so to say. Everybody was very happy about that we had a Twin Peaks link here. Also, I wanted to mention about the integration of this knowledge in the project. So basically, we teach people to do it, but it is very cool when a person can make something close to what he is doing in his everyday work. So in our case, it's the automation of a real product. It's a test project that a product team would write, and it is necessary to explain people what a page object model, and it's about the architecture, and that we can use the same elements and the same method in different test cases. And that is impossible on different pages, only on this monolithic structure. And also we can teach people to work with GitHub, and it will be a really good point in their CV. And also they can add in their products, and employers like this point quite a lot. So we have found a demo on Jenga, and it's quite easy to use. It is internet shop, web shop, but it was enough for our tasks, goals, and we asked people to automate their cases in this internet shop, web shop. So how can we assess that everything has been correct? So the basic scenarios, the basic case was incorporated in the capture for robots. Also some scenarios to add to the cart and so on. When people were going through this test, they had an alert and they had to count it mathematically. Also, we can check some logs. If we know that people are launching their test with some special tools or instruments, it will be in the logs, and we asked them to write the special line to find out that everything is fine. And actually, this manual check was conducted with mutual peer evaluation, and how to automatically check some architecture solutions, as far as I know, it hasn't been invented yet. So we can check some keywords or something else, but code style, it is difficult to check code style automatically. We can change the forms, but the reasonability and the code is good. It is quite difficult to do that automatically. So that's why we decided to keep the cross-section peer evaluation. So it has different opinions. It has both advantages and disadvantages. And we can work with GitHub and to introduce project GitHub and to try something. People get introduced to code review because it is cool, because people can find something new from somebody else's project, and people have good experience and get new experience from such things. They can see new approaches and they're ready to read somebody else's code, which is very important when you are writing something, when you're creating a code. And also they are learning to write an adequate comment, which is actually quite difficult. And besides the knowledge of somebody else's work, so in reviewing there is this peer reviewing, there are also disadvantages, because people who are checking the jobs, they can be not competent enough. They just want to get their own skills sometimes, and quite often they can just not even read the jobs and write inadequate comments, and it frustrates the people who want to go through this codes, and there is no possibility to appeal. If a person thinks that it was unjust evaluation, he cannot appeal this decision. And quite often people comment on that, and then if it happens, then teachers have to evaluate and solve these issues manually. Well, it does happen sometimes, but 1 or 2% of cases, but still the thing that we have found right now was quite adequate solution. And there are some infrastructural problems, because we all understand that there is if you locally start something, launch something, it does not mean that it will be launched at your colleague's computer, and quite often you get less points for that. And after you have created this theory, you have gone through the tasks and we made up how to make a project out of it. So the course has to be supported when it is in the backup. So this first step, so to say, that has to be tested. So there is testing of online courses, and there are special testers for online courses, those who help to read through the materials. And it is also important to find testers from different groups, from experts in your field, that will check you and that will tell you where your mistakes are, in order not to disinform those people, the beginners who come up to you. And also it is important to find your own target audience. In our case, we were working with those who have never written a code, and we just saw how teachable they are and how our materials can help them. After the course has been launched, it is necessary to react at feedback. You have to understand that feedback can be different, not only positive one, but also we have to remember that when people write a negative comment, they share their pain with you and you can help them. If a person writes that nothing works, you just ask why it is not working and what formula you want to hear. And so when you actually ask for help, the others want to help you and to find the solution to your problem. So in this case, it can be interactively improved, the course, according to the feedback, but to some point of time, because people are different, of course, and there will be those who will not understand everything fully. We have to answer the questions, we have to help others and to support them psychologically, because there are some people who are not ready to do it, especially when they're solving the task for 10 hours and they cannot do it, and then only will be able to accomplish in the 11th hour, and you're very happy for this person. And it does not matter if the course is free of charge or not. You need to provide help, because it is difficult to do it only with 1 or 2 people, and we need moderators and assistants in each course that help people to check all the comments that are made, and answer the questions, delete some codes, make the appeals, and so on. So basically those people who can help you, and when you have such people, it is really great. And when people go through online courses, in our case, we have a text course without video, and they think that they are alone and nobody will help them. And when they see that somebody actually is willing to help them, it supports their aim.
Okay, so what are the conclusions that can be drawn from what I've told you? It was quite unexpected for me that the task of training has to be approached in the same way as the engineering task. If you don't see the way to resolve some problem with the technical means, if you don't have an out-of-the-box solution, it doesn't mean that there is no solution at all. If there is no out-of-the-box solution for the online education platform, doesn't mean that it's not possible. This is something, that can be done. And the whole process of online courses development and the usage, it becomes something very similar to what testers are doing in their life. So when you make some limitations, requirements for the developers, when you try to eliminate some bottlenecks in your system, it's very similar to what you are doing in the testing. For example, this tests and criteria of acceptance of other person's task, it works very well. And testers are learning very well, because normally they write very good feedback. They don't write nothing works, and they say, I visited this page, these are the reproduction stage, I was expecting this, and I got this, and this is a very good feedback, and we can really improve our site. So it's very good to have testers as trainees. And another thing I want to tell you, what kind of lesson we take here. It's not only the new experience that we got, the experience of mentorship, but also, as I've mentioned already, we have recovered 2 websites. We worked a lot with JavaScripts. We learned a lot of technical peculiarities, Jagma, and also we thought about how to organize that. We developed a lot of code, and we became quite professional in this area. So also we recruited new trainees, and those who graduated successfully, we invite them to be moderators afterwards, and as a test run, they also write some automatic tests for us, and they agreed eagerly. So there are a lot of people who took our training course, they registered in our platform, Galeon, and actually all the online courses, they can pump any brand, promote any brand, because good courses developed in the Stepik, they've been developed by cool companies, and people think, oh, if it's there, the company is cool, and there are such good lecturers, they can present material in such a nice way, and it improves the attractiveness of a brand. So the amount of positive feedback that we receive, it is even confusing. The audience is so grateful, and there are so many interactive materials, free of charge materials, and I think it's very important to inspire people, and in response to that they will write a lot of positive feedback, and this is such a nice, pleasant feeling when you get it. And also we have launched a new paid program based on this course. I won't tell you much about that, but in general it's like, well, I will tell you within this context. So the free courses can also be, how can we use these free courses? They don't earn money, but we can monetize it through some other free applications, because there are some additional features like code review, mentoring, which courses don't provide at this basic free level, and that's why it's difficult for them to get the final certificate without these features. And also the statistics is updated continuously. Probably it might be a little bit obsolete if you see the recorded report. At the date of SQA 26, more than 11,000 trainees registered in our platform. 30% have completed the first lesson, because normally people just register for free courses just for the future, because they want to take it later. And those who have completed the first lesson, 12% finished the course and got the certificates. Also, we have more and more, since the date of the presentation, the number of feedbacks raised. Now we get more than 170, so almost half of those who finished the course and got the certificate left the feedback with us, and almost all the feedbacks are positive. There are only 2 feedbacks with 4 points, one with 1 point, and the others 5-star feedbacks, which is a record-breaking result for our platform. And at the end, we've got 211 steps within our course. Out of those, 86 tasks, which is practice-oriented course, is very nice. So we've got 4 steps with cross-reviewing and 1 final project, which been collected by people, assembled by people, and sent to each other. So where can we take a look at all that? So here are the links to the course and to the website with the tasks, with the buttons running away, etc. So please register to our course, take it, develop your own courses. I think there are a lot of materials on testing, and there will be more and more of them, and they will be better and better. And soon we'll switch to mass online format. So this is the end of my presentation. We'll be glad to answer any questions. Thank you. Yuliya, thank you for your presentation. It was very nice to listen to you. But you said that we counteract people. We try to make people not to not to test it all manually. But there are some recorders who have different opinion. But how do you combat these recorders? We don't combat the recorders. If a person wants to use a recorder when taking a course, okay, let him do it. But we had case when we changed something in our websites. For example, a lot of people were writing locators or placeholders. We changed the test and everything collapsed, failed in all these uses. So that's why sometimes the stability can be affected by these things. Lina, thank you for your presentation. Comment on the recorders. People need it, not you, so that's why they're conscious. And do you have plans to extend it, to develop new courses? Thank you for your question. Of course, we want to make some more advanced courses, work with IP, Allure, continuous integration. We also think how to check what people launch on the Docker, and I think we'll make it. Yeah. And also, I wanted to comment on the protection of the recorders. Well, actually, you can of course, it's clear that you can cheat if you want. So you can always go inside an application and check the scripts, the functions, automatic functions, and to fake the code. But we try to optimize it as much as possible. And actually, there were people who clicked all that. Normally, we send some cards to them. So those who fill the form 100 fields, unblocked the button in HTML, we say, you are cool, really, but fill in the form. So actually, cheating is okay if you... Yeah, so you can cheat in any case. So, but normally it's good when it should be easier for people to write the code than to cheat. Do you have any other questions? Thank you for your presentation. It's interesting. How do you put marks? So is it the criteria whether you passed or non-passed, or is there some categorization to understand who is doing this better, worse? Well, it's a good question. Simple tasks and the tasks which are checked automatically is checked like 1 or 0. In a more complex task, the code review and the separate architecture, we have a gradation or ranking. But the trend is that people try to get 100 points. I want to take all the points. And even those people who fail something, we have to give them opportunity to retake it. And also with the projects with peer review, when something is wrong and people didn't get it in the right way, we give them opportunity to retake it, and many get the maximum after that. So any other questions? The last question? No? Thank you for your presentation. I wanted to ask, so you develop the courses in the work time? Was it like a work activity, or was it your own solution? Yeah, it's a good question. So as we work in the Stepik, we had the opportunity to work with it in work time because we're developing the Stepik, developing the content, but as far as I know, not everybody had this opportunity, and probably it became something bigger than just work time, because I will tell you, we put the date of opening of each module for the Sunday. So each Sunday the module was opened, we got a lot of comments that nothing works, but during the first months when we took the first test run, so the weekend was spoiled, we had to monitor all that, and at some point it was beyond our normal working schedule. But the development, when we were distributing the content and the materials, it was done during the working time. Thank you so much.